or blue? You must be wondering, why am I asking you to choose from 3 colors? Hello guys, Abhishek here from Main Studio, and in today's video, yes, you guessed it right, we're gonna talk about Arowana tank backgrounds. A lot of you may feel and tell me that it's not important. Possibly not if you are a hobbyist keeping certain different kinds of fish, but if you're an Arowana keeper, then I guess that's an important one. So a lot of us give a lot of importance to a lot of other things while setting up a fish tank. Single most important thing that we mostly talk about is the fish tank itself. You know, the size and the dimensions and how tall should it be, or you know, how deep it should be, what should be the length, what kind of glass should be used, how thick the glass, and all of those things. And then we talk about filtration, lights, and a lot of other things. Background is something that we don't really talk about much, at least for other fish hobbyists. But in the Arowana world, background plays a very important role. Of course, it does also play a very important role in the entire fish keeping hobby, whether you're keeping other fish or not. But as far as Arowanas are concerned, it does play a very important role. And most Arowana hobbyists understand that background plays a very, very important role. So why is it important? Because I spoke about it in one of my previous videos where we spoke about the color and all of those things. And I did mention they tend to blend with their surroundings, especially the bottom of the tank. So hence it is very, very important to understand how the background affects the overall setup. And there are various reasons why you would put different backgrounds. In an Arowana hobby, as far as I have seen, I've seen mostly people put 3 different colors to choose from. Basically, it is either white, black, or blue. I've personally used all 3 in different occasions, and they work well for me, and that's what I want to talk about today. But there's a lot that I'm not fully aware of, how and why backgrounds should be chosen, and what kind of backgrounds should be chosen. So I think it'll be a great idea if you guys also come up and add to what I'm really saying today. It will be great if everybody kind of comes together and talks about it, so we all know what's the kind of background we should be putting in our tanks. Right, so this background right here, as you can see, it's a black tank. It's an all black tank. People say that it's a good idea to have a black tank for a super red Arowana. Okay, and that's what I have in here. I have kind of followed what people have told me, what people generally do. My understanding of the whole thing is, from a viewing perspective, there are theories around it. Okay, they say it's easy to trick the human eye to believing that if there are contrasty colors, then they do stand out. Okay, for example, the human eye would be tricked to believe that the contrasting colors of the red and the black would make the red stand out. I am not entirely sure how true that is, but I would like to believe that reds, super reds especially, do stand out in a black tank, because of the simple reason that the combination looks fantastic and great. And because of the idea in one of the other videos where I said that the Arowanas or any other fish try to blend in with their background, so a red Arowana would try to blend in with the black tank, with the surroundings, and would go deeper in color, which means the red would get deeper, the core would get more redder, is what I think, to get this extra depth in color. Also, one of the other things that really works well in these dark color tanks, especially the black ones, would be the sense of security. I think a fish feels a lot secure when it's darker and doesn't feel very open and insecure. I have noticed that fish in black tanks tend to be calmer because they feel a sense of security. And also the fact that the fish wouldn't really look down so much because there's not really much happening at the bottom, considering you've kept the bottom black as well. And why I'm saying this, if I'm talking about a black tank, and why am I saying specifically about the bottom, is because there are other various options where you mix colors as well, which we'll talk about in a bit. But let's talk about let's continue with the all black tank for the moment. The fish doesn't really look down a lot, and in one of my previous videos I mentioned that environmental factors do affect drop eye. So a black bottom would ensure that the fish doesn't look too much downwards, and hence chances of drop eye would be less. And I have kind of observed the same, and I can tell you from first-hand experience that it's kind of true. What I have here, my Arowana doesn't have drop eye, even though I have been giving it a lot of market prawns. However, considering that this is a black tank, I guess that's one of the reasons why it's still not gotten the drop eye. Of course, there are certain disadvantages of a black tank. The one big disadvantage that I see in a black tank is the fact that a lot of people talk about Arowana tanning, where you prolonged hours of bright lights on the fish. So in a black tank, because light gets absorbed, black is a color that absorbs light and very less is reflected. Hence, you need to have much brighter and more powerful lights for it to really work well in a black tank if you intend to tan your super red Arowana. What I also personally feel is I find it difficult to clean the tank as much as I would in a white tank, simply because it's darker, it's harder to see the dust and the dirt at times for cleaning. However, from a viewing perspective, it's a totally different ball game, where you tend to see a lot of dust and dirt and cloudiness and all of that. So the maintenance tend to get a little harder, is what my personal opinion is and what I have seen. And black tank, as they say, good for red fish. Red Arowanas generally are good in a black tank, simply because they would contrast out. The second one, which is close to black, it's another dark color, is blue. Different from black in the sense that black is black. Black cannot be light black or dark black, but blue can be. So you can do a lot of varieties in a blue tank. You could go with a lighter blue, and you could go with a darker blue. So obviously it would give you certain amount of contrast in each one of them. Again, I've seen a lot of people put again super reds in a blue tank. I have myself put a super red, which I used to have in the past, in a blue tank, and it looks great. There's no doubt about it. And a lot of people have suggested that a super red should be put in a blue tank, and they just look very nice and they stand out, which I wouldn't deny it. What I personally observed is that the black tank is probably a little bit more contrasty. It could just be an illusion, or it just could be there in my mind, but I just feel that black tanks bring out more contrast than blue tanks. However, there is one particular type of Arowana that would do really, really well in a blue tank, and in my opinion should be kept in a blue tank as compared to a black tank, though a few people keep them in a black tank. But blue base Arowanas, which is a recent craze, and a lot of people go for a blue base Arowana, they tend to do really well in a blue tank, in a blue background tank, for the simple reason that a good blue base would have a core of blue in the scale and the rim being gold. So because the fish mimics the background of the tank or the bottom of the tank, if you have a blue tank, the core would become more blue, and that's what you want in a blue base. A lot of people have kept blue base in a black tank. They look slightly different. The core becomes very, very dark blue as compared to the standard blue that happens in a blue tank. They look very different in each of those tanks. But my personal opinion is I'd like to keep a blue base in a blue tank and not in a black tank. Now the third one is the white tank. To me, it looks like a very clinical kind of a tank. Not my favorite, but the kind of fish I've had when it comes to golden all require white tanks. So, and especially the crossbacks and the golden heads. We've spoken about it at length in one of my previous videos, where you put them in a white tank and you put white lights on for 24 hours. That would ensure that the 6th scale crossing remains. And also they say, because of the reflections that is happening throughout the tank and when you've turned on the lights, so the scales are still very shiny, so you can maintain the shine of your golden Arowana. And because it tends to blend with the background, the white background and the bottom of the tank, hence the crossing also stays. The pigmentation becomes paler, and if there are any blacks on the 6th scale, that would also kind of move away. If you are going to have a golden Arowana, which is a crossback or a golden head, then yet it's advisable to put them in a white tank. One of the things that I've seen in white tank is from a viewing perspective, they are clearer. It's harder to see the dust in them because they're all white. So it's quite good that way. What I've also noticed is chances, one of the disadvantages rather of a white tank is that chances are higher of a fish getting drop eye. Again, because of environmental reasons, because of the reflection and stuff, the fish tend to look down and there's a lot happening at the bottom. If there's a lot happening at the bottom, they don't want to look up. Also for the fact that there are no light, there are a lot of lights on top, then chances of drop eye could be there. I have faced it. Both my golden head arowanas have had to a certain extent drop eye, and I would attribute that, of course, besides the food, to the white tank. But I've also seen most juvenile arowanas where you want to maintain the scale shine, because the scales are very shiny of an arowana. If you want to maintain the scale shine of them, you need to have reflective light, and that can only happen in a white tank. So most juvenile arowanas are kept in a white tank. Even certain blue base arowanas are kept in a white tank when they are small, as they are juvenile, and eventually moved over to a more darker tank, a blue or a black tank, and that's when they actually the colors pop. In case of a blue arowana, you move the blue juvenile arowana once it's grown to a certain size. You move the blue arowana from a white tank, just to maintain, of course, the shiny scales in the white tank. Then you move it over to a blue tank to get the depth of the color in the core of the scale. Similarly, with the golden arowana, you could do that. You could keep them in a white tank, a juvenile arowana in a white tank, to have the shine on the scale, and eventually when they grow, you move them over to a black tank to have that depth in the yellow color of the scales, the core of the scales. I'm not too sure whether golden head arowanas or crossbacks can be moved from a white tank to a blue or a black tank at any point of time, because I would fear that they may still lose the crossing, because as we've discussed in the past, crossbacks and golden heads are all technical fish. They're man-made through generations of white tank treatment. And when I say white tank treatment, that's what happens in a white tank, as the name suggests. You put them in a white tank, you put them on T5 white lights or PLs or any other light. That's called a white tank treatment. So these are the three different colors and three different situations in which they are used. I've also seen certain people combine colors. One of the more common combinations would be, you will have blue on all sides of the tank except the bottom, where you want to put them as black. So which means the blue color would get maintained, but it would get more deeper considering the bottom is black. At the same time, fish would feel more secure, and also the fact that it's black at the bottom, chances of drop eye would also reduce. I have also seen a lot of people use a blue and a white combination, where all the sides are white and the bottom is blue. That's mainly to maintain the shine of the scale, at the same time bringing that bluish hue or the bluish effect at the core of the scale, especially if it's a blue base arowana. I haven't really seen a black and a white tank, but I have heard people have tried that as well. I'm not too sure why would you want to try something like that, but my best guess would be to maintain again the shine, at the same time bring about that sense of a calmness and avoid a drop eye. So these are certain combinations. Beyond this, I've seen in many international forums or in many international Facebook groups where people have put in very fancy backgrounds. I've seen people put even pink backgrounds and even yellow backgrounds. I don't know what they do. I wouldn't try them. Maybe a yellow background would bring the gold out more, but I just wouldn't want to try it out. It's like putting a black fish in a black tank, you put a golden fish in a yellow tank. I don't know what can you view in that, but I've seen a lot of people try out this fancy stuff in international groups, not really in India. What have you tried? Have you tried all of these three that we spoke about, the white, blue and black background, as a single color or in combination? Why did you try it? Was there any good effect out of it? Or did you manage to try some fancy ones like a pink or a yellow or a gold or even a green? What happened when you tried that? And was it for an arowana or for any other fish? What is your preference as far as background is concerned? Why don't you write to me in the comment section and tell me what's your background color choice and why you've used it, what have you gained out of it, and your thoughts on the various different kinds of backgrounds that I used in the arowana tanks. So this was it as far as backgrounds are concerned. A very interesting video coming up next week. a lot of you have asked me to put up a video on how to set up a sump. And fortunately, I am in the process of setting up a sump, because obviously, as you know, that I'm still hunting for my next arowana. So I just thought, while I'm hunting for my next arowana, I might as well get the tank ready. And one way of doing that is to put up the sump. That's the next one coming up next week. If you want to watch that video, then please go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed already, because that video is not a direct relation to arowana, so it may not be put in any of these arowana Facebook groups, but it would be there on my YouTube channel. So guys, if you liked this video, then please go ahead and hit the like button, and like I said, please consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching. Till I see you in the next one. Peace.